Being the bicentennial year, Victoria is celebrating 200 years, and everything Victoria should be celebrated, including there's a song out here that was put out in around 1961, 62, La Calle de los Diez Amigos. People of my generation or older are well aware of it, but everybody that I asked didn't know any of the details.
La calle de los 10 amigos, que símbolo de nuestra amistad, no importaban los peligros.
This whole process came to me or grabbed my interest. It was I was invited to participate in some of the bicentennial meetings and the organization, and kind of getting my feet wet, because I was learning everything about it myself. During one of those meetings, a good friend of mine, Mike Rivera, mentioned, "Hey, there's a song out there, La Calle de los Diez Amigos. Has anybody know about it or heard it?" And some said yes, some said no, and so I grabbed him at the end of the meeting. And I said, "Hey, Mike, do you have this copy available? Where is it?" He said, "Well, I have it here." He showed it to me, and it was a homemade CD made by one of the vocalists. The gentleman's name is Pete Cantu, and his son, Chris. They made the CD for their internal use. They were making a compilation of songs, and including La Calle de los Diez Amigos in both English and Spanish. I knew nothing about the song. I knew I'd heard it, but I mean, it's 1962. It's 60 plus years old. Some people haven't even heard about it. I said, "Man, this is really neat and really cool." I said, "Can I grab it from you and copy it?" He said, "Yeah, go ahead." So I took it home and I made my copy, and then I put it into my computer, so I have my own copies. I started listening to it, and in this CD, there's about like a 5-minute intro spoken by one of the vocalists of the song, and he kind of gives a little background of all the songs. So then that just another level of interest here for me. This one gentleman said, there's a gentleman in the Costa community here just south of Victoria. His name is Richard Gonzalez. He's a music collector of not just music, but mostly Victoria stuff. So I went knock on his door, and he came out. He's very appreciative that he even was willing to talk. He's an elderly guy. He's probably in his middle 80s. And once I introduced myself, and I asked, what can I do for you? I said, "Well, your name was given to me by a friend of ours, and I'm just trying to get information about a particular song." He said, "Tell me about it. What's going on? Why are you looking?" I said, "Well, just curiosity. It's bicentennial year, and it's about Victoria by Victorians." I thought it was a good fit to dig into it. He said, "Yeah, I remember the band." He said, "Tommy Camacho, and it was two brothers that had the band, the Camacho brothers. It was Joe and Tommy were the two brothers that had the band." And then he said, and then the vocalist was a trio that used to be with the band also. And the two of the guys were Sixto Cantu and Pete Cantu. He says, "But let me think about this." He said, "I haven't thought about them guys in a long time." So he said, let me give me a few days. I'll call you back." He called me back. He said, "Ralph, I did find some articles, and I found the 45. He says, "But you can't have it." He said, I found one." He said, "You can come by and take pictures of it, get the information off of it and take pictures, and you can make copies of the articles." And I said, "Man, that's perfect. I'll take that." A week or two later, he called me back. He said, "Ralph, I found another copy of the 45. He said, "I'll gift you one. I have it here." So that's how I came to have a copy of it. So the more I studied this 45 and I saw the names of the people that wrote it, who the vocalists actually were, stuff like that. So come to find out, the people that wrote the song was all Victorians also. A gentleman called Dub Walker, a lady named Wanda Stevenson was mentioned on the record, and a guy named Jerry Curtis. I was glad I found the names of the people that wrote it and how they collaborated with the Tommy Camacho Orchestra. Maybe they knew each other. So I've got the information about the song and the names, but I don't have any information from the family of this gentleman. Who's around that can, input. So another mutual friend, Kathy Garcia, we always visit, talk, and she says, I know Pete's and Sixto's sister, named Marianne. I said, we talk all the time. We're good friends. I said, you want me to contact her? I said, yes, please. So that became my family source, family contact. Her and then some of the offspring, Pete's and Sixto's kids are now trying to do their recollection of their dads. Well, hello, Marianne and Chris and Cindy. Glad you're here. Glad we're having this moment to share some good memories. Would you tell us a little bit about your brothers and kind of?
Absolutely. I'm not shy about bragging about my brothers ever. Okay. And I want to make sure that everybody knows that um, I'm here with Chris. I'm in Mississippi right now. I actually live in Massachusetts, but I'm fortunate enough to be with him this weekend, and it so happened to coincide with this interview. It's great. Cindy's in Austin. Cindy is my brother Sisto's daughter, and Chris is my brother Pete's son. So I am one of the sisters of Sisto G. Cantu and Pete G. Cantu. And we were raised in a family who loved music. My brothers learned to sing and play the guitar at a very, very young age. Their father and uncle used to sit around and just outdoors in the porch and just play music and sing along in Spanish. They were always Spanish songs, of course. My brother Sisto, really, he's amazing natural talent. He self-taught himself how to play the guitar and to read music. He had a natural singing voice. My brother Pete also learned to play the guitar and harmonize with his older brother. He took music in school and was very instrumental when it came to making music arrangements, and together they provided entertainment, initially just for the family. But it was very evident very early in their musical career that they had to share their talent with the public. So they started performing in public.
Growing up as the daughter of a musician has been a very blessed life. I have memories of practices, performances, dedication, and discipline, and beautiful lessons. As a child, I can remember watching my father perform on stage with a number of musicians, several bands, and performing a variety of types of music. His versatility included everything from tejano, mariachi, trio, and also included country rock, and was known in the South Texas beauty pageant scene. He used to sing at beauty pageants for his Elvis medley. He was one of the very rare musicians that never drank a bit of liquor, never did drugs, never did any of that. Being a musician, you're surrounded, with drinking and just having fun. And he just never did. And I think he always told us that he was high on life and that he didn't need it. That music was his high. Music was his addiction.
Obviously, my brother Sisto and especially my brother Sisto, he had music in his blood. So like I said, he was a natural entertainer. So he started entertaining just because he loved music, and everybody loved hearing their songs. He formulated a small band called the Red Rockers. That was the original band that they started with. And then from there, they developed other bands. They joined the Tommy Camacho's band, which had, you know, the boys, Tommy and Joe Camacho,
Yes.
and Ernest Jimenez, and I can't remember all the players' names, but there was a large orchestra. That orchestra was very popular and very famous. I can remember when I was very, very young, and I was very proud of my 3 elder siblings, my brother Sisto, my brother Pete, and my sister Pita. Her name was Lupita Cantu Patterson. My 2 brothers and my sisters were the original trio, but then my sister wasn't very comfortable in performing in public. I mean, she did at home. So they invited another 2 friends. One of them was Bobby Monroy,
Yes.
and Robert Soceda. And he is the one that I think is in that song of the
Calle. Yeah, that was Floyd Saceda.
Floyd Saceda, yes.
Yes.
So there were the other trio.
All right. And ready, Salceda.
They would be down here on Juan Lin, there on the Dutch Lane. There was a lot of opportunities for them to make a little extra money for the family. So they would go from one cantina to the other, and people would ask them to play, and they put money in their pocket, and they just play there for an hour or 2, and they just go back to another place. And at the end of the night, they had enough money to pay something at the house. So Dutch Lane was a very active place. Downtown Victoria here, we had several places where they would also play. And as I was telling you, that there were times when they would do private parties to Victoria's prominent folks, and they would be playing all night long. He would be coming home after the party, and they would be dressed real nice. I mean, this was a real upscale parties that they would go to and play. When he come home, he would take money out of his pocket and out of the side pocket and left pocket, right pocket, because people were asking him to play a song, and they would play, and then he would say, "Well, it's time for us to go home," and they, no, one more, and he would always say, "Yeah," and those people didn't know the titles to those songs, so they would say something like, "Can you play the Cucurucu song, La Paloma Blanca?" And they would say, "Oh, okay," and so they play, and so that side hustle really paid the bills at the house. You know, we're talking about back in the '60s when a man had $100 in his pocket. That was like 3 weeks of wages. Yes. So in one night you can make 3 weeks of wages. Yeah.
I know that my brothers were only in their early 20s, I think, when they did the Calle de los Diez Amigos.
That was 24.
Yeah.
It would have been
20.
24.
Yeah. And so brother Cesar must have been
26,
27,
something like
3
that.
years older. Yeah. The Calle de los Diez Amigos was on one side, and then the reverse, it was in Spanish, the Spanish version, and the flip side was in the English version.
Now they did it well. It was well played.
Yes, very good.
Yes.
I'm fortunate to have a copy of those.
Really?
Actually, it was that CD that you made, Chris, with your dad.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I have a copy of that, so I have them there.
He was very proud of that CD when we made that time back in, I guess 2008, give or take. It's been a while now, but I said, let's do a CD, Dad. And we spent literally a day there. He recorded everything, by himself with cassette tapes, and then all the music the songs that he wanted to put on the CD himself, he did it himself, and from there, I took it to my friend here in Mississippi. We put together the actual CD and took pictures that from him of the band for the inside of the CD, and then also the outside there, and made about 20 copies. And it was just like that. And Dad took them all and handed out to family, whatever. So I think I have one maybe somewhere, I think.
I tell you what, on that CD there, that it's very, very cool and very fortunate that he gave that little 5-6 minute intro.
Yes, that's my favorite part.
That's history.
Yes, it is. He talks about how he met Freddie Fender before he was Freddie Fender. I mean, they had a chance to be his backup for a recording, but they'd been there all day recording already. They wanted to go home, so I said,
Yes.
we can't do it, and he didn't do it. So, but that was Baltimore Huerta,
Exactly.
before he became Freddie Fender, and then years later that happened. But it was kind of cool that
It was very nice, very well put together.
Yes, yeah, he was very proud of that. It brings back great memories.
Sure does. It does. I found one article that said that it came out in 62. It was in collaboration with the original Martin de Leon marker that went in at the De Leon Plaza in 62. So it was around the same era, it's the same time, and trying to, it's part of the celebration. On the 45, there's a very elaborate jacket. That's what we call that sleeve, where the 45s and the vinyls are kept. On the 45, it said Val Records, VAL Records, Victoria. And that was a whole different leg of the exercise. Was okay, we got a song, we got music, we got lyrics. Who's going to record it? Well, Val Records didn't do the recording as far as putting it on tape. They were just more like a distributor. They could put it on the 45 and distribute the record. So according to this article that Mr. Gonzalez provided for me, the band went to Beaumont and found a studio there that they could afford and could accommodate them on the day that they were available and all the logistics. So they found somebody over there. They made an appointment. So all the rehearsing was done here locally at the J.C. Hall in Victoria. That's what's mentioned in the article. So, many nights of rehearsing, getting it tuned and perfected at the J.C. Hall in Victoria, and then, okay, the date's here, let's go to Beaumont, let's drop it into a studio and record it. So all that happened, and they came back home, and they got their initial proof, record, and they liked it, and now somebody to drop it into a 45. And that's when Val Records came in, and they made contact with the Price family. And now they're ready, and now it's time for this Martin de Leon marker to be erected at De Leon Plaza. The band donated the first $500 toward the city, toward the marker, to help offset that, depreciation for allowing their music to be on their, be sold that day. There was stands in the corners, and people were selling the record. I think it was like $2 a record at the time, and so it was kind of a citywide effort.
I just know that I remember when the flags came up, that was, that was history, and I believe I was like in the 3rd grade, and at Juan Lin, and they really emphasized about Texas history and about the Six Flags, and we didn't really understand about Six Flags until that came online, and then of course we learned about the different countries that occupied Texas throughout the years.
Maybe I didn't mention this in the beginning, but La Calle de los Diez Amigos, today it's Main Street. Back in the Victoria becoming a settlement, a city, it was Martin de Leon, of course, was the first, the person that was granted, the grant, and his son-in-law, Carvajal, was the first surveyor of Victoria, and when he surveyed downtown, Martin said, I'm gonna name this main thoroughfare, to us, it's Main Street. He said, La Calle de los Diez Amigos, and kind of a tribute to some of his inner circle. The song talks about, of course, the name, La Calle de los Diez Amigos, and in the English version it says, it talks about, how the 10 friends used to walk the street, and under 6 regal flags, how, time has passed, they're all gone. Now 10,000 strangers walk the street through a matter of turbulent times. He said, but through it all, it's the friendship and that kind of message.
I know it was a big deal because the whole neighborhood was always playing the song and hearing the song, and I think Mr. Castellano was probably playing it on his radio station. So it kind of got a lot of airtime out there, at least for the Hispanic community.
If somebody's interested in it, I don't know. I'll have to, let the family decide, or, how they can get a copy of it if it's somebody from a historical side.
Appreciated that. I'll never forgot that to this day. 40
Oh,
years
that's
later.
awesome.
So it's
you
awesome.
guys-
you guys
That's
have
a good memory.
Yeah.
You guys have a fond memory of the whole family. Appreciate that. Hold on to that, and thank you for sharing it with us.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you.
It's always,
Thank you
it's
so
always a
much.
pleasure
Thank you for
picking up
everything.
local history.
Look forward to meeting you someday.
Yes.
We can do that.
So I was hoping just to bring it to everybody's attention and educate and to give credit to the people that wrote it, the people that sang it, the people that recorded it. Hopefully somebody likes it and can appreciate a little bit of Victoria's history, because it truly is by Victorians for Victorians.